Hello everyone, you guys can call me Tripolar Bear, and today we're going to talk about the new Ballista skills and whether or not they're going to be the new bow meta. So let's talk about some pros of Ballistas and totem skills in general. So obviously one of the big pros is that they can autonomously shoot. So you place it down and it starts shooting for you. You don't have to sit there and babysit it, make it shoot for you. You put it down, you can run away, and this allows you to weave in and out of enemy attacks. So it's really helpful on boss fights that require a lot of movement and dodging of one-shot abilities. Stuff like Shaper, Elder, maybe even Ubraziri, map bosses. Totems are generally pretty good for those, since you don't have to stop moving and risk taking hit from something. It's also really nice if you can place a Ballista or Totem down and move on to the next pack of mobs while the Totem or Ballista kills the last screen. Another pro is the mana cost is only to put them down, allowing them to continue shooting and using whatever skill it is without you using more mana, which is generally pretty helpful, especially in the early parts of the league when you might not have that mana leech, or you might not want to use mana flasks as much. They'll take mob hits for you as well. That's kind of a pro and a con, since they'll be taking hits and dying, but you'll also be taking less hits since they kind of pull some aggro away. You'll have a higher total damage if all your totems are out. So this is really good for single high HP targets. It lets you get more survivability since you have higher total damage. You can kind of invest more into life and sacrifice maybe some damage jewels, some damage passives, stuff like that. Also, no reflect, which is very sick. Your totems will take, reflect damage, but you just place more totems. Like, it's fine if your totems die. It might be a little annoying if you maybe didn't get some totem resistances, but generally it shouldn't really be an issue. And the last good thing is that they're very cheap league starters. You really don't need too much gear to be totem or brand build. You saw this with Storm Brand, who's a super good league starter. It still kind of is, not as much since they nerfed it. But that's just because you scale all of your damage off of having more totems and all of your gem levels, which is super easy. You're not too reliant on gear. But let's talk about some of the not so good things about Ballistas and totem skills. If you don't get some of that totem resistance or physical damage reduction, they're going to die. Fairly easy to ground degens, boss AoE, and even just regular mobs that hit them. If you're not killing them fast enough, they'll kill your totems fairly quickly. The damage scaling isn't as high as normal bow skills per action and per use. So the action cost of laying one totem isn't really equal to the action cost of using like one bow skill. So, putting a totem down, it shoots your tornado shot. You're not getting as much value in like clear speed and damage versus if you would have just used tornado shot on your own in a regular tornado shot build, or ice shot, whatever bow skill you may be using. The also kind of sucky thing about totems is it has a little delay before using the skills versus you pressing tornado shot. It shoots, the mobs in front of you get hit. You put a totem down, it has to pop up. You have to spec into totem placement speed, so it has to pop up and then it has to like go to the mob, aim, shoot, versus just like you click and you're already shooting. You can't really control where the Ballista or totem shoots. Generally, that's not an issue, but sometimes you might want to be clearing something like in a different area than where your totem's shooting. They generally will just shoot whatever's closest. But it's nicer to have that kind of control, especially when you're using something like Mirage Archer with your bow skill. You can shoot a pack, let maybe Mirage Archer fish for something else in front of you, and then maybe shoot behind you, stuff like that. You know, it's kind of, you have a little more control with it, which is really nice on your character. You always kind of want more control over what's happening. A really, really bad part of ballistas right now, and I guess totems in general, is that you can't leech very easily, especially with ballistas coming up. The only leech that you have right now is from Chieftain, and that's 0.5% of your totem damage is leech to you. The only other leech you can get right now is from a shield, and you can't use shields with a bow. So you're gonna have to like play Chieftain, or you just have to somehow get enough life regen. If you're playing an ES build, you'll have to get enough ES regen, I suppose. But really, you're kind of just relying on flasks and regeneration, which I found, any build that's relying on life flasks to get your life back isn't really a good build. I don't like that playstyle. I like, having that life coming in almost all of the time. Your totems won't shoot very far off screen, so that's kind of like another control aspect I was talking about. You can't really control how far your totems are shooting. Whereas like Tornado Shot, you bring your mouse all the way to the top of the screen, you let that rip, it's going to hit everything out there. If you miss a mob or a pack somewhere behind you, just boom, and you keep moving. It's all good. The totem damage is also going to be a lot lower. So you have lower total damage if one totem is used at a time, or if you're like Hierophant or something where you can place 2 totems with 1 action. It's going to be a little better if you're Hierophant, but if you're just doing like 1 totem at a time, it's going to be a lot worse for clearing unless you get like super high damage on your totems. Just because like totems are kind of meant, you're supposed to like boom, 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 have a bunch of totems up. But you want to really keep your actions as few as possible when you're clearing maps, because we want to get some map clear going. We want to get that currency, those items. The more maps you can clear, the more stuff you get, and the less actions you have to perform in a map, the more maps you can do per hour. So we're always trying to do as few actions as possible, which is a little difficult with totems versus, especially with bow skills with Mirage Archer nowadays. You let one rip and you can have your Mirage Archer shoot a few times for you, and you don't even have to perform any more actions. Super value having Mirage Archer. What can they change to Ballistas? So keep an eye out for some of this stuff. Faster arming or firing time. So you'll notice in the video, it's pretty quick, right? But it's not instant. You place the totem and it's shooting. You don't really want to delay there, because the more delay there is, the more time there's going to be for mobs to hit you, and the longer it's going to be taking you to clear those maps. Every little bit counts. Longer activity range. Some of these totems are pretty decent. I know the Ballista totem right now has like a pretty decent far range, but again, like you can off-screen stuff, with Tornado Shot, Lightning Arrow, just being able to shoot it like super far wherever you want. And totems aren't really going to be able to do that. So maybe they could increase the activity range, let them shoot mobs that are closer to off-screen. Maybe not, entirely off-screen. That'd be a little busted, but, at least increase it a little bit, maybe. Keep an eye out for that. Some more inherent totem defenses. You can kind of get some resistance stuff right now, but you have to like go to the totem resistance wheel, and it kind of feels bad, having to go to a totem resistance wheel just so your totems don't die. It's just like so maybe they could throw some more in with the totem damage, or they change an ascendancy around, maybe get some totem resistances, some more on there. I know Chieftain makes them immune to fire, which is nice, but that's about, where it ends. A huge one. This is what you really want to watch out for, is more sources of totem leech. So you obviously keep an eye out for the arming and firing placement speed, all that stuff, where it just makes the totems quicker. But the huge one would be more sources of totem leech. Hopefully it's on the tree and not in an item. Because if it's in an item, you obviously have to get the drop or you have to buy it, which is kind of, it's going to be a pain. Yeah, like I said, the only source of totem leech is from Marauder Chieftain Ascendancy or the Shield Troll Timber Spire, which gives you only 0.5%. Right now, if they don't receive a few of the changes I mentioned before, I think Ballista skills, they'll be useful for league start, but since you can place more totems, they'll be useful for league start since you can place more totems to get more damage really easily. So, you know, you won't have to like sit there and shoot a few times, you know, you just place a few totems. They're going to do all that shooting for you. At the league start, mana can kind of be an issue depending on kind of what build you're doing, how many items you have, what level your gems are at, but totems, you just pop a few more totems down and you're all good. But I think it'll be quickly transitioned to a normal bow build fairly quickly into maps. You know, almost, you know, before yellow maps, you know, during white maps, you can probably transition to just like a normal bow build. Maybe if it's going good, depending on the changes, you can do that a little quicker. But I don't see too many people clearing maps really quickly with these new Ballistas unless they make some serious changes, especially in red maps. You know, there's no way the actions you're doing and like how far the Ballistas can shoot and whatnot are going to be better than you with Mirage Archer controlling where the shots are, controlling how far the shots are going, where they're going, and how many actions are performed. Also, you probably will have a kind of hard time, especially with Ballista. I guess maybe if you're going like Chieftain or something, since you'll be a Marauder, you'll get a lot of that life regen. But it just kind of sucks. I don't know. I guess it's neat, you know, you get to play a bow Marauder, but there's just so many good bow stuff, bow points, bow ascendancies. You know, when you play something like Deadeye, you just get so much good stuff that it would kind of suck to have to play Marauder and get life regen, have to rely on a flask. Man, I hate having to use a life flask. I'd way rather have like a Jade, a Basalt, a Dying Sun eventually, stuff like that. You know, imagine, you know, having a life flask and you always got to keep the uptime up on that. You've always got to be vigilant. I just want to do brain dead clearing, go, go, go. If I get hit, I should be instantly leeching it back. I just feel like leech is pretty free right now. There's just so many ways to get leech, and it's way better than having to spec like a ton of points into life regen and using a life flask. But you know, maybe if they add totem leech, my mind could be changed. You know, that would be pretty good. These Ballistas, they might be pretty good for boss encounters, which seem to be a main part of the upcoming Metamorph League. But I don't think they're going to be better than a self-casting bow skill for clearing maps. I honestly just don't see it. Unless they make some like crazy changes, and I don't think that's happening. You know, bow skills have been along for many leagues. You know, they've been cream of the crop map clearers, and it's for a reason. You get to shoot a ton of projectiles. You fill this screen with what is practically, you know, area of effect skills with Herald of Ice, all those tornado shot little projectiles going everywhere, all the lightning arrow explosions, you know, you're forking, all of that stuff. You just fill the screen, and that's one action. Bop. You know, you press the skill, the screen is filled, everything is dead. Versus totem, you wait, it shoots, it has to shoot again probably, or you have to put another totem down. It's just not going to be as good for clearing maps. Maybe white maps, but definitely not those high tier maps, which is exactly where you want to be as fast as you can at the start of the league. All right, that's all I've got. Thank you for watching.